Hey, look at this.
Fantastic.
Make sure you shoot up a little bit.
Parfait. Parfait.
Non, mais attends, on peut faire mieux que ça, à mon avis.
Tu penses?
J'ai pas fait de bénévole cette année, du coup, je suis un peu perdu sur comment, comment ils le font. Mais non. C'est un autre. Ça doit être dans ton écran, notre lecture.
Une lecture, je pense. En bas.
Ah, mais je ne veux pas le mettre en...
Ça va disparaître. Le reste va peut-être disparaître après. Ouais.
Le cliqueur fonctionne?
Il fonctionne.
Oh là là, mais...
Oh, la techno.
Je vois avec le stream, c'est trop bien.
Well, good morning, everyone. I think I'm going to do it in English. It's much better for the ones that are not in this room. The idea of this presentation was to talk about an ICO 2 years later. So what happens when people basically bought our token? What did they get as of today? And what will they get in the future, which is even more important? So I'm going to start by the ICO itself. So we are not a usual, let's say, blockchain project. We are a more traditional project because the aim of our project was basically to build a regulated asset management company. So maybe we could have done this in the, let's say, real world as opposed to this crypto world. But we decided that it was important for us to try to get some financing out of this community, because what we want to propose is not, let's say, a standard asset manager, but an asset manager that will be dedicated to crypto investment. And basically, we see ourselves as a bridge between this emerging economy and the traditional financial world, which basically is the place where you should get some financing if you have very good ideas. So we decided that there was some, let's say, opportunity for us, because traditional actors, especially 2 years ago, did not want to be associated with this kind of asset. So basically, we thought that there is a need, or there will be a need in the future, to manage these assets. And nobody in the traditional asset space wants to do it, so let's do it. So we completed the ICO almost 2 years ago, in February 2018, so not even 2 years ago now, I can say that. Right at the very end where this window of opportunity basically closed, because after that the price action on crypto was quite bad, and it's very difficult to raise money when the markets are difficult. It's the same in the crypto space as in the traditional finance world. For example, in 2007 to 2009, when the market were very difficult for equities, you could almost see no financing raising in this space. And the use of fund for this ICO was clearly to set up and capitalize the asset management company. As it's a regulated entity, you need to show to the regulator that you are strong enough to operate for at least 3 years. And our token is giving 2 rights as of today. The first one is, and I have not really touched this yet, but the first one is to give access to our token holders to trading signals. So you have to understand that behind this asset manager, let's say our core business or our value proposal is around quantitative trading. So we are not here to say, well, this morning I'm feeling good, so I'm going to buy, or this morning I'm feeling bad and I'm going to sell. What we really have developed internally is really an expertise in quant trading, initially on traditional assets, and since a little more than 2 years on crypto assets as well, and I will show you some example after that. So the first right was to give access to these trading signals, so there were 10 of them at the beginning, 9 on traditional asset, and 1 on Bitcoin USD pair. The second right, which I think was one of the interests of our ICO, is to get some revenue out of the asset management company. So for the first 10 DAF, so the first 10 funds that we would launch, people would get 85% of the performance fee that we would be generating. Even though we are proposing some kind of, let's say, remuneration to our token, we were not deemed as a security because the way it's been structured, especially in France, it's really a licensing revenue as opposed to some kind of dividends that you would be entitled with the token. So it was a quite clever way to structure the. It was quite a clever way to structure the token because we wanted to avoid all this, let's say, regulatory issue right at the beginning of the ICO because it was very unclear. The environment in which we were was quite unclear, so we didn't want to pollute this fundraising with some additional regulatory issue. So we structured the token this way. What have we done? Because now it's been 2 years since we've launched the ICO. So of course we are in daily contact with our community, which is normal because they financed us so far, and we thank them for that. What have we done? So the first thing that we've done 2 months post-ICO is to launch a platform, so NapoleonX.ai, on which you can see the trading signals. So that was the first right of our token. So just 2 months after the ICO, we were already starting delivering on our promise. Since then, what we've done is we've developed much more quantitative solution for other crypto than BTC USD pair. And also, we've expanded the number of strategies that we have on BTC USD. So now, on the NapoleonX.ai platform, you have 11 different quantitative strategies dedicated to crypto, plus the initial 9 So it was not, let's say, part of what we should have done, but we've done this, let's say, as a free gift. Third point is we have set up the asset management company. So it was one of the, basically, the purpose of raising this fund. And we managed to get the license in March 2019, so a little more than 1 year post-ICO. So we have a stamp from the French IMF. Fourth point is that we've launched the first regulated fund that gives access to crypto. So this is not a fund that, let's say, implement one of our strategies. It was a little step too far for, let's say, the customer that we are targeting, and the customer that we are targeting are professional investor, and for them, stepping in the Bitcoin market is already a big move for them. So we wanted to just launch a simple vehicle that gives them access to this market, as opposed to going on Coinbase and buy some Bitcoins. Why would they choose our solution compared to other solutions that exist? First, it's a regulated fund, so it's much easier in terms of investment process for them. Second, we have a true custodian and not, let's say, a crypto custodian. It's a true regulated custodian, like any other custodian for any funds that you can find in the world. So that's very important for them. They don't have the right, basically, to buy anything if it is not custodied somewhere. That was a big challenge because it's not that easy to find such a custodian. And just the way we've structured the fund, just 2 seconds, basically it's managed using CME futures, which is very simple to explain when we go and see investor. It's not true investment directly in Bitcoin, but really it's about getting exposure to this asset class. And last point, we've built a brand, and as a startup, and especially people who have invested in us, have invested to a certain extent in a project. So the more, let's say, famous the project becomes, the more success they can hope to have on their token and on their investment. And we've really managed to achieve this in the traditional finance world, where we are really known, and I can go in a lot of conferences, and even the big banks know who we are in this space. So I'm just going to talk about our core value proposal, which is the quant. And I'm just going to give an example of 3 families of strategies that we have developed. It's just to give a flavor for what we are doing on a daily basis. We are doing much more complex stuff on top of that, but just to give an idea, I think it was much better to look at, let's say, basic family of strategies. The first one is a quite simple one, which is basically when you have a medium-term trend, you buy. When the trend is no longer bullish, you just go to cash. So very easy stuff. And we'll see afterwards how it translates into performance for crypto holders. The second one is basically when you have big dumps in the market. Usually, there might be a reason, but sometimes it's overdone, and there is an incentive to buy these dips. Of course, you will not buy any time the Bitcoin goes down or Ether goes down by 2 or 3%. It has to be big enough that you step in against the market. Usually there's something that is not recommendable to do. It's to go against the market. But in this case, there is an incentive, and this is something that we have measured over time. There's a true statistic that is in your favor. And the third family of strategies that we've developed are more short-term trend-following strategies that can go long or short. And basically, if you want to go short in this market, you have to keep your short over a very short period of time. Basically, historically, it has not paid off, even in big bear market, to remain bear. So this is something that we have found, basically, data crunching. And the end result, because these are basically individual bricks that then we will use to this time design strategies that will be promoted to first our community, because with their token they can have access to the trading signals that are behind these strategies, and this is for free. They just need to register on our platform, and this basically will also be the basis when we will start actively promoting the DAF. And basically this strategy that I'm showing behind is the one that we will use for the second fund that we will launch, hopefully somewhere around summertime. So I don't want to commit too much, but in terms of structuring, it will be exactly as the first fund that we've launched. So a lot of hurdles basically have been cleared. Now it's a question of raising some seed money on that part. The strategy that you can see here, it basically, that's the blue line. It's log scale, and the less colored one basically is the Bitcoin itself. So I'm combining basically the family 1 and family 2 strategies. So basically I'm adding these 2 signals, and this is the combined signals. As you can see, let's say with historical data, and once again that's past, so it might not happen in the future. Basically, this simple strategy enabled you, or if you had implemented this strategy, let's say in 2016, 2017, 2018, or 2019, you would have beaten a simple buy and hold strategy, so buying Bitcoin beginning of the year and holding it until the end of the year. On top of that, cherry on the cake, you would have reduced the volatility of basically your investment. So I'm increasing the performance and I'm reducing the risk. So basically, investor would have, let's say, gain on both sides, which is very interesting. Year to date, we're almost on par with what the Bitcoin has done. And I was looking yesterday, we were even slightly ahead, but it will change. And these trading signals, we've been publishing it live on our website since 30th of April 2018. So it's not only about backtest, it's really about live trading. Since when we started publishing or displaying these signals, the strategy has done more than 150% return. When buying the Bitcoin and just holding it would have yielded you a negative return. That only with 29 trades. And when I'm talking trades, buy and sell are 2 trades. i.e. you enter the market and exited the market 14 times on average over the last 2 years. So as you can see, you don't need to be a professional trader spending 20 hours behind your screen to make some money. You can do this just by buying from time to time Bitcoin. The rest of the time you go into cash. So that was just an example of what we can do. We have also another strategy that we really like a lot, which is an allocation model between this time Ether, Bitcoin, USD. It's based partially on this strategy, on similar strategy for Ether, plus let's say an arbitrage strategy between Ether and Bitcoin. At the end of the day, we allocate between these 3 currencies. And since we've launched the second strategy, which was in September 2018, so 1.5 years ago, basically this strategy gained more than 450%. Once again, the trading signals were available on our platform, so this is not something that we are making up. Of course, the backtests before that are just backtests, but since then, it's real live result. And now, an extension of what we have developed so far. So I was talking about the ICO project, just to show first that as an ICO, this is very important for us to deliver on our initial promises. And we try to over-deliver by adding new features, such as the strategies that were not envisaged at the beginning. Second, the strategy that we are putting forward are making money for our early adopters, which I think is the most important thing. Third, we have achieved basically to get this regulation and to launch the first fund. And now it's a question of, let's say, taking the time to launch the second, the third, and the fourth, and so on and so forth. And then they will start collecting some money. Normally, they should get their first licensing fee around April this year. So this is something that we have, of course, tell our community. And now, basically, because we had a lot of let's say, ideas, because managing a project is not only about delivering on something that we have promises, but we have, as a startup, of course, we have a lot of additional ideas. And one of these ideas is to launch a trading bot. And I'm going to explain what I mean by trading bot. First, why did we came to this new project? First thing is that for the strategy on Bitcoin, it was quite easy to replicate because 29 trades in 2 years, anyone in this room, anyone behind your screen, you can do this. Very easy. The daily strategy I was referring to that allocates between Ether, Bitcoin, USD, that generated much more performance, require that you trade potentially on a daily basis. Since we've launched this strategy in September 2018, we generated something like 400 transactions. You are now starting to enter into a different world in terms of execution. So if you want to replicate and get this performance, you need to be there every day to achieve this. It's starting to be a little more difficult. Early on, because of this, our community requested that we provide some API with our trading signals. Of course, we were cautious not to do that. First, because that's our IP, and this is part of what we have sold into this project. So of course, we are contributing our IP to the project, but we don't want to give it away for free. But we understood their request. So that's the first point, that the difficulty to replicate. The second one is that because we are traders, we are data crunching on a daily basis, and we are also analyzing what is working, what is less working. We had some, let's say, kind of tricky markets in the second half of last year, where we had a lot of false trend on the upside, on the downside, which was quite difficult for our daily ETH, BTC, USD strategy. That forced us to look into smaller time scale, i.e. instead of trading on a daily basis, we started looking at what we could do on an hourly basis, knowing that there is a cost to do that, because the lower the time scale, the more cost you may have. So it's not because we are looking into smaller time scale that we are trading every hour for 100% of the portfolio. So we might be trading every hour, but we will not trade 100% of the portfolio. There is a cost to trade. But still, we have developed hourly strategies on our side. We've implemented it for us, so for our prop trading. And so to do that, we have also been obliged to develop what we call our Hitman. This is really the nickname we are giving it internally. Hitman is basically when you hit the market. And as we are in quantitative trading, I don't want to intervene in terms of trading myself. So what we do is we generate automatically the trading signals, but we also have developed an automated execution tool, which is our Hitman. Having done that for us, for our own purposes, we decided that at some point, and because there was this, let's say, request from the community, there was some interest to develop or to offer such capacity to external people. And that's when we decided to launch our first version of our training bots in May last year, which was called Napoleon Software, which was an executable that you had to download on your computer. You had to put it on a virtual machine because it has to be basically online whenever there's a new trading signal. So it was quite a hassle basically to operate, but still we had some clients on that, and we got some feedback on what we were doing. And it was making money. So at the end of the day, even though it's difficult to operate, it had some value. What does it allow you? Because I think that's really what is important, is what's the usage of this training bot. First, you get access to our whole library of strategies. So 11 on the NapoleonX.ai platform. Now we've developed 5 additional hourly strategies. So in fact, we are proposing 15 different strategies on the most liquid crypto, so the top 7 basically. Second, what you can do is, because you have access to this 15 strategy, you can mix them. So you can create your own menu. You're in control. Second, you can set up your risk budget, i.e. you decide that you're going to trade $1,000, for example, on your account. And last, you connect your trading account. So let's say that you want to trade on BitMEX. You connect your BitMEX account to our solution. You select whatever mix of strategy that you want to operate. And then everything works automatically. You don't have to worry about anything. Of course, you have to come back from time to time to see whether there is no, let's say, bugs around. But normally, they should not. At least there's something that we are also monitoring. And basically, that's a way for you to use quite complex strategies, because the one I was discussing is quite a simple one. We have much more complex one. You don't really need to enter into too much details if you don't want to, but you can still use this strategy and on a completely automated basis. And now, so that was basically in May, and we reckoned that the user experience was not very good. And as we are, let's say, project manager, project entrepreneur, we cannot basically be satisfied with something that is technically working, but it is not user-friendly. So we decided that we would switch from an executable that you can download on your computer to a SaaS version. So basically, now the service is the same in terms of functionality, but the way it works is that you have now access to a portal, a web portal, so you can basically register there. Everything will work almost the same as before, so you can register, you connect the account on which you want to do some trading. You have to generate an API key, because we need to discuss automatically with your trading account. You put some restriction in the API key, i.e. we cannot, let's say, withdraw money on your account, which is quite safe if you think about it, because at the end of the day, the money always stays within your account. It's not like some other solutions. You can think about eToro, for example. They offer copy trading, which more or less our service looks like this. But you are transferring your fund to their account. In our case, the funds always stays within your control, regardless of whether we are regulated. You don't need to trust us. Really, the money stays with you. So now we have this 15 strategy. In the first boat, we didn't offer the hourly strategy. Now we are offering the hourly strategy, and there are 5 of them. We have also a much more simple, let's say, pricing model. Now it's a monthly subscription. And you have different prices depending on the complexity of the strategy that you want to manage. And the starting price is €7 per month, so it's quite cheap. Of course, there are a lot of caveat around this pricing, but that's life. But still, it's quite cheap as an investment solution. You can make payment using a credit card, so for the monthly subscription. Very soon, we will have also the possibility to pay in Ether, because it's important for us that we are open to that. And the initial service was only payable in Ether. Here, it's really a question of days and weeks before we also make this option available. It will be also mobile friendly. You have to understand that to set up let's say your trading account, as you need to generate this API key from the crypto exchange on which you want to trade, you need to go on your desktop. So basically, we took the decision that you would have to do part of the onboarding on a desktop. Once it's done, with your mobile phone, you can basically allocate directly to your strategies. I.e., let's say that you're going to the restaurant and you have an existing mix of strategy. You're not satisfied with it anymore. You can basically, in 1 minute, change your allocation, press update, and it will automatically update this allocation mix in your portfolio. So you are completely on your own. You don't need to be, let's say, chained to your computer. I myself use this service a lot. I'm a trader myself. I really love that. And it's fantastic. I don't have to be at my desk. I can be anywhere, and I can trade. I can change my allocation. Once you've done this one-time, let's say, subscription step, then everything is quite easy to implement. The service is available on 5 crypto exchanges. I'm pretty sure you know all of them. Soon it will be available on 2 additional ones. You don't have the same strategy on all the exchanges. As traders, we are very careful that in order to be as close as possible to the, let's say, performance of the strategy that we are showing, there is no big risk in terms of execution. So for example, on Bitstamp, you cannot go short because that's an exchange on which you cannot go short. So a certain mix of strategy will be available. On Kraken, where you can go short and long, because it's not been designed for trading, we are only allowing low-frequency strategy. But for BitMEX, Bitfinex, and Binance, you can have access to the full Monty in terms of strategy mix. So there is one step for you is you have to decide on which exchange you are comfortable to put your money. And that's really up to you to do this, let's say, risk exercise. And once you've chosen that, then you will have a mix of strategy that will depend on the exchange on which you want to trade. This is just some print screen about our service. I think the best way to have a look at it is to go on the website or to go on your mobile and try it. It's not completely, let's say, mobile optimized as of yet, but all the functionalities are there. You will have a dashboard on which basically you can see an overview of your exchange on which you have position, the position themselves, and this is where you will be able to change your allocation very quickly. Once again, in less than 1 minute, you can update your mix of strategy. You will have one section where you will have a description on all 15 strategy with some KPIs. So it's important for you that you would be following one of the strategy. So it's important that you get some information about past performance. And you also have the release date. So when was it actually, let's say, put live in terms of trading signals? So if you want to have only old released version, you have the information. And the exchange, you can really plug as many exchanges as you want, up to 5 and soon 7. Now, as a conclusion, I wanted to say first, we are one of the few ICO to have delivered on its initial promise. Yes, we are a little bit late on some of the items that we had promised, but we are there and we have not missed any step. On some of the points, we have even over-delivered. For example, the trading strategies on crypto, the 10 additional ones that we've developed were not envisaged at the beginning, and we've developed them anyway. This strategy has been performing quite well. Just last month, we made new all-time high on almost all of them. So at the end of the day, what is important when you're investing in an asset manager or in someone providing you with some, let's say, fantastic strategy is that they have to perform. And we can prove that because if you go on our website, we publish trading signals on a daily basis. Of course, you need some tokens to have access to them. Or you will be able to access to this strategy subscribing on our new service, NapBots. And we wanted also to reward our community by giving a new right to the token. So not only are we trying to deliver on our initial promises, but we are also over-delivering in terms of strategy, but we are also giving a new feature to the token. They will be, or people holding NPX will be able to use them to pay for this new service. So that's a way also to reward the community, is to give a new right. So we will have a kind of strange token from a legal perspective, because first, the first right is giving access to financial information. The second one is to give access to a revenue stream. And the third one is to have a token that can be used as a currency. So if you were a lawyer, you would scratch your head, because in which category would you put this token? It would be quite tricky. But we don't care about that. As long as it's legal, it's fine, and this is legal. So we wanted to give this new feature to the token, which should add more liquidity and, let's say, more interest in the future. So thank you very much for having listened to me, and I hope you had a good last day at the EthCC.
Thank you.
If there is some question, please feel free, shoot. As long as you don't shoot the messenger. Yes.
Hi. So you answered my first question by using the NPX token to pay for the service. Do you plan on starting on new exchanges?
In terms of new exchanges for the token itself, this is clearly something that our community has been asking for quite a long time. As, let's say, a project developer, a project owner, for me, the value of our project is not in being listed in anywhere, in any place. The value of my project is to give feature to my token and to deliver on my promise. Having done, let's say, a lot of development, at some point, yes, we will go to another exchange, but you have to understand that going on an exchange is very expensive, and this is not very useful money for the project itself. Yes, for the token holders, it might be important, but we are adding a new feature to the token that should give some interest, because if you can use this as a currency, then let's say the liquidity issue that we have been asked by our community is becoming a little bit less important. But we are always open to let's say being listed on additional exchange. We are discussing with Jérôme on this subject as we speak. Nothing has been done yet, but of course we are looking at this on a regular basis, not on daily basis. This is not, or this was not a priority. At some point, it will become a little bit more a priority for us.
As I understand, you don't have free trials on the NapBot service?
There is a free trial.
There is a free trial.
But let's say it's a fake trading. So basically, you can subscribe to a limited part of the service. You will see the trade executed, but they will not be effectively executed on an account. So it's in a sense, you can see how the bot will generate the order, when they will execute, and you will be able to see the performance of this kind of paper trading, except that you would be the one choosing the strategy that you want to operate.
Okay, and I have a second question about changing allocation. Like, let's say I want to use BTC instead of Ether. Is it selling my Ether for BTC, or it's for future allocations that it will trade less Ether and more BTC?
No, as of today, well, we are just considering that Ether, Bitcoin, EOS, Litecoin are just assets. And if you want to have your funding, let's say in Ether, because you are a true believer in Ether, and then on top of that you want to add some trading, that's feasible with our solution. So you can have your funding in Ether, and then run our strategy on top of that. We will not interfere with whatever funding that you have in the back.
My question was about funding reallocation, like the thing you can do on mobile. Maybe I misunderstood.
No, the reallocation is the reallocation between strategy. So what we will not allow, let's say that you have a funding in Ether and you're running a Bitcoin strategy, you can change this Bitcoin strategy to a EOS strategy, but the NapBots will not allow you to change your funding. Your funding is your decision, and you have to go on your account with a separate device.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your speech. In regard of institutional investors, when do you think they will be really interested in using your decentralized autonomous fund?
Yes, well, that was the aim of our project initially, is clearly to give access to this category of investor to crypto solution. If we talk about, let's say, a financial institution entering the market, there are several ways to see whether they are entering or not the market, whether it's for our product or for other product, because we are not the only one to provide even some kind of regulated, solution. If you look at the CME market, which is the biggest derivatives exchange in the world, where you can find, for example, mini S&P futures, and if you look at the volumes on this venue, the volumes on Bitcoin future have been going up. In 2019, the volumes were up 75% compared to 2018, and even at the beginning of the year 2020. You also had a big jump, more than 200% more.
Yeah, if you can just continue it outside, I guess.
Okay. And we had more than 200% increase compared to January the previous year. So there is definitely big institutional that are entering the crypto market, and clearly the one trading on the CME are not, let's say, individuals that are trading. You might have a few, but clearly the biggest actor on this market are traditional investors. So there is clearly an underlying demand that is coming. You can also see this in the spreads, so the future spread that you have between the future and the basis, what we call the basis in the future market. So it's kind of technical, but basically that's the difference in price between the future and the Bitcoin. And there was a big pressure since June 2019, and the pressure has not really come down since then. So you can see that clearly there is a big demand there. The second part where you can see, let's say, big investor entering into the market is if you look at the portfolio of Bitcoin that holds more than 1,000 Bitcoin, so it's arbitrary, but at least we have some statistics on that. And in terms of number of portfolio that holds more than 1,000 Bitcoin, it went up in, let's say, similar order of magnitude as what we have observed in the CME market. So clearly the demand is starting to build. It's a worldwide demand. So as, let's say, an emerging actor, we need to make ourselves known by the entire world. So we are doing a lot of marketing, digital marketing. But it takes time. This is not something that will happen overnight, but the underlying demand, the markets that we are targeting is starting to be there. Well, thank you very much once again, and I hope you had a very good day.
Wait, you're Constantin, right?